Good morning everyone, my name is Mark Joseph P. Cordova and the topic is types of fingerprint impression. The first impression is rolled impression, the second is plain impression. The rolled impression is one made by rolling the thumbs and fingers following the procedure stated below. So rolled impression requires that the thumb be rolled away from the center of the subject's body. And the second is plain impression. Plain impression is a method that requires that the fingers be taken or printed simultaneously, then the thumbs without rolling. Plain impressions are used as a check upon the sequence and accuracy of the rolled impression. So plain impression are these in which the finger is pressed down on a flat surface but not rolled. The next topic is equipment in taking fingerprint. First is fingerprint ink roller. So fingerprint ink roller provides even ink distribution is easily applied to enter the stainless steel inking slab or the glass inking slab with this smooth roller. The second is card holder. Card holder keeps fingerprint card secure. It allows user to roll the prints while keeping the information area of the card. It is a gadget used for clipping the fingerprint card to avoid movement of the card during printing. The third is inking plate or glass slab. Inking plate or glass slab should measure 6 by 14. Roll out your printing ink on an inking plate prior to coating your printing block with ink. The fourth is fingerprint ink. Fingerprint ink. An ink impression of the lines upon the fingertip taken for the purpose of identification. The fifth is hand and slab roller cleaner. It's a fast-acting solvent used for removing fingerprint ink stains from rollers and ink slabs. The sixth is fingerprint card. It is a piece of a card used for recording the 10 fingerprints. And the last is fingerprint table. Here is a card holder with the fingerprint ink roller. Here is what should be used to take a fingerprint.
My name is Nathaniel Makadangdang. Ang report ko po is scientific way of taking fingerprint. Number 1 po, prepare the setup for printing. Kailangan ihanda po lahat ng gamit para sa pagprint. Next naman po is clean the inking plate slab thoroughly before spreading the ink. Yun po, kailangan po malinis yung inking plate or yung slab. Sa pangatlo naman po, di ba po may slab? Tapos sa slab po na yun, papataan po ng ink kada gilid and the center. Tapos po gagamitan po ng roller para kumalat yung ink. Sa pangapat naman po is to check whether or not the ink was spread properly or whether it is not. To try print one of your finger or put the slab near the light. Yun po. Para malaman naman po kung kumalat ba yung ink. Kapag hindi po kumalat, yung slab po, dikit po sa may ilaw. Kapag yun po nag-brownish yung kulay niya, kung po meron pong good ink. Place the fingerprint card on the card holder properly to ensure the proper entry will be easy. Yun. Ilagay po ng maayos yung fingerprint card sa card holder para po mas mapadali yung process. Check the hand of the subject, make sure that it is clean and dry. Yun po, i-check po muna yung kamay natin kung malinis ba. Kapag madumi naman po, gumamit po tayo ng bulak or bulak po na may alcohol. Tapos yun po punas, tapos kailangan po dry yung kamay. Check the hand of the technician should stand at the left of the subject in taking the right hand impression and take the right side in taking the left hand impression of the subject. Yun po. Taking the right. Yung technician daw, kailangan po lumugar sa kanilang bahagi ng subject, tas sa kanan kakumuha ng impression sa kaliwang kamay po. Tas po sa dulo. Subject should be instructed. Yun po, tumayo ng diretso at mag-relax and not to assist the technician in rolling his fingerprint. Yun lang po.
Hi, I'm AGC Reyes from 238-7 and I'm here to discuss the problem in taking of ink fingerprints, mainly the mechanical operation. But first, let me define the ink fingerprints. Ink fingerprints is the recording or capturing of fingerprints using black inks. Now, let me enumerate the causes on why there is a poor impressions. And these are the following faults. Letter A. The use of poor thin or color ink resulting in impressions which are too light and faint, or in which the ink has run obliterating the ridges. The best result must be obtained by using heavy black printer's ink, a paste which should not be thin before using. This ink will dry quickly and will not be thin before using. It means that using a thin and colored ink will cause a poor impressions due to the reason that colored ink are usually light, so that we need to use black inks for it to have a good impressions. Letter B. Failure to clean thoroughly the inking apparatus and the fingers of the pouring substances and perspiration, causing the appearance of false markings and the disappearance of characteristics. Windshield cleaner, gasoline, benzene, and alcohol are good cleansing agents, but any fluid may be used in warm weather. Each finger should be wiped dry of perspiration before printing. So meaning that it is important to clean the apparatus that will be used in ink fingerprints, because dirty apparatus will result to inaccurate fingerprints impression. It is need to be cleaned thoroughly by alcohol, gasoline, and any cleansing agents. Letter C. Failure roll the fingers of pulley from one side to the other and to ink the whole area from the tip to below the first fissure. The result of this is that the local points of impression do not appear. The whole finger surface from point to tip and from side to side should appear. Failure roll will be resulted to a fail taking a good fingerprint impression. So we need to learn some techniques for rolling impressions to get the impressions fully and correctly. Next, letter D. The use of too much ink obliterating or obscuring the ridges. The printer's ink is used just a touch of a tube, and to the inking plate will suffice from several sets of prints. It should be spread to a thin, even film by rolling. Too much ink will result to heavy mark and unclear the ridges, so that we need to use the exact amount of ink to achieve the best result. Next, letter E. Insufficient ink resulting in ridges too light and faint to be counted or traced. Too little ink will result to the ridges to be vague or unclear. Next, letter F. Allowing the fingers of slip or twist, resulting in smears, blurs, and false appearing patterns. The fingers should be held lightly without too much pressure. Meaning that in taking fingerprints, we need to just hold the hands lightly to avoiding smears and blurs.
Good day everyone, ako nga po pala si Jaro Angelo Ging Lopez at ang aking papaliwanag ay rolled impression at plain impression. Paano nga ba kunin ang rolled impression? Kapag kukunin ang rolled impression, dapat unahin ng technician yung thumb palapit sa body ng subject habang nakafold or nakasara ang ibang daliri. Lagyan ng ink yung remaining fingers at kuhanan ng rolled impression lahat ng daliri sa right hand. Pareho lang din ang gagawin sa left hand. Lilipat lang ng technician yung right side ng subject para mapadali ang proseso. Lagyan ng pressure ang pagbiprint ng daliri sa subject para maiwasan ng blurred print, pero hawakan maigi ang kamay ng subject para naman maiwasan ng smeared print. Paano naman makuha yung plain impression? Para makuha naman ang plain impression, ang lahat ng daliri ng kamay ay ididiin mabuti sa inking plate at iprepress sa card. Ganon din ang gagawin sa kaliwang kamay. Sa madaling salita, para makuha ang plain impression, i-press thumb at idiretso sa slab at walang ginagawang rolling motion. Susunod ay ilagay sa ink slab yung 4 na natitirang daliri at idiin sa record card. Isa-isahing idiin ang mga daliri sa record card at ulit-ulitin ang proseso sa kaliwang kamay.
Good morning everyone, my name is Aubrey Corbe and my topic for today was all about temporary disabilities. There are temporary disabilities affecting an individual's hand which are sometimes beyond the control of the identification officer. We have 4 types of temporary disabilities. The first one is when fingers of flesh cuts, bandaged fingers, which will prevent the recording of an indication in the fingerprint case. The same situation would occur if there were a blister on the individual's finger. The blister temporarily disfigures the ridge details. We have a solution for this. When an injury is temporary, the prints, if at all possible, should not be taken after the injury has healed. The second is occupational problems or bricklayers, carpenters, and etc. The solution for this is rub the finger with softening agent oil, cream, or lotion. It is further suggested that a very small amount of ink should be used at the inking plate. The third is excessive perspiration that causes ink impression to be indistinct. The solution for this is wipe the finger with cloth and then immediately ink the finger and roll it on the fingerprint card. This process should be followed by each finger. It is also suggested that possibly the fingers could be wiped by alcohol, benzene, or similar fluid which would act as a drying agent. The last is when the ridges are very fine like the ridges of the fingers of the baby. A solution for this is use a very little amount of ink and spread a very thin coating of ink on the glass slab.
Good day, my name is Almer J. Jimenez and I will discuss the permanent disabilities and its solution. Let's first talk about the lack of fingers or missing fingers at birth. It is a congenital and anomaly which they call brachydactyly. Sa ganitong case, apektado yung bones, muscle, tendons, and ligaments o yung tinatawag na litid. Sabi nga nila, if there's a problem, there's always a solution. Kaya sa ganitong uri na permanent disability, in taking fingerprints, kinakailangan dito na proper notation or process to prevent fingerprint card from being returned. Let's move on to the second one, which is amputated fingers. This may cause by severe injury or accident. In this case, proper notation should take place on individual fingerprint lock. Kapag may part yung first joint ng daliri ay putol or amputated, it is needed the finger should be inked and printed. In this kind of situation, the notation should be made on the fingerprint card in the individual fingerprint lock. Kapag ang case naman ay amputated ng lahat ng daliri, ink footprints should be obtained. The third one is bent or crippled fingers and certain deformities. This one can be called clinodactyly, which refers to abnormality or abnormality. Curved fingers, and because of so much curve, it overlaps with other fingers. The solution to this notation focuses on the fingerprint card in the proper individual fingerprint block. Yung ganitong case, naniniwala pinaka-rare. Kailangan ang gamitin dito ay special ink device sa pagkuha ng ink. Impression sa mga ganitong cases. Itong device na ito ay ginagamit din sa pagkuha ng prints ng mga namatay na. And next is deformities. May tatlong naka-under dito. The first one is more than 10 fingers. Dito naman yung thumb or inlalaki. At yung mga kasunod na 4 na daliri, ang kailangan i-print, while others should be printed on the other side to be described sa extra fingers. Next to this is the web fingers, which is called syndactyly. In this case, it is impossible to roll such finger on the inside. But despite this, such fingers should be rolled as much as possible and that a rotation made to describe that they are joined. Finally, let's move on to split thumbs. These are classified as if the joint toward the outside and were not present. In this sense, the inner joint is used without any consideration whatever is given to the outside joint.
Good day guys, my name is Danilo B. Costales Jr. from A2-7. Let's talk about postmortem fingerprinting and fingerprinting of newly dead. First, the postmortem fingerprinting. Fingerprints have frequently been instrumental in establishing the correct identity of person killed in airplane crashes and incorrectly identified by closest relatives. Sa postmortem fingerprinting guys, ito yung process ng pagkilanlan sa isang tao para makilala siya ng mga relatives niya kung siya ba talaga yon. Ito yung mga nakaksidente sa plane crash, car accident, sa motor accident. Yung example nito yung mga nasusunog yung muka, basag yung muka. Ito lang yung best way para makilala yung taong kung sino yung nakaksidente na yun. Next, the fingerprint of newly dead. Dito naman guys, sa pagkilanlan ng isang tao or isang patay, mas possible or mas madali mong makilanlan yung tao or makuha yung fingerprint ng isang patay kung flexible or kamamatay lang ng isang tao. Kasi pag matigas na yun, parang mahirap na igalaw, mahirap nang makuha yung tamang position ng finger para makuha yung fingerprint. In some case guys, kasi for example, yung sa plane crash, siyempre yung katawan ng isang patay, siyempre lalayo yun, matagal makita. May mga ganong situation kasi may matagal makitang bangkay and yung katawan or yung mukha naaagnas na. May improvise na ginagawa yung mga investigators para sa ganong situation. Ito yung yung ink ilalagay mo sa spatula or sa knife, tapos di ba matigas na nga yung kamay ng patay, yun isasakat mo dun. Ito yung ng patay, finger, ito yung spatula or knife na may ink, ididikit mo na lang na ganun. Yun yung pinaka best way or ibang process para sa pagkuha ng fingerprint ng patay.